Well, after playing some more Doom, I realized that evolution was so successful that abandoning it wasn't really the right choice. Yep, I've made some mistakes in life. I mean, I own Pikmin 2 on the GameCube. What do you want from me? Worlds are great. I mean, ever since I discovered them, I can't go outside. This sucks. Which is why I realized that I have to continue evolving and evolution. That's my new motto. I mean, have you seen my new shirt? It exists. And what better way is there than a sequel? Evolve on what is already there. Or how some other people would say, you know I can already bitch. But with that said, I think I already know what people want. But yet again, I'll need to use a secret weapon, an even bigger one than before. Yep, Walls 2, baby!
Halo Combat Evolved is one of the most influential games of all time. It revolutionized first-person shooters and made them playable on consoles with a structure that made anyone else look like a dumbass. It captured the hearts of millions, too bad their hearts were green. It single-handedly made Xbox on the market, making them a worthy competitor to Nintendo, Sony, and not Sega. It's safe to say that a sequel was to be found. I mean, Halo 1 has so much cut content and so many ideas the developers had to remove. And what do you know?
Numbers, right?
Yep, we are back, this time with Halo 2, known as one of the best sequels of all time. Managed to live up to its expectations and continue to evolve on what was already there. Halo 2 was developed by Bungie and published by Microsoft in 2004 to the original Xbox. Like the first game though, Halo 2 received a remaster known as Halo 2 Anniversary, developed by 343 Industries, which is the version we'll be looking at today on Halo the Master Chief Collection. Halo 2's development started in 2002. After the success of Halo Combat Evolved, it was no wonder that there was a sequel in the making. And this game was stupidly ambitious and was expected to have twice the size of the maps from the first game, lots more weapons, many more features like dual wielding, hijacking vehicles, and was expected to be the same experience as a cinematic film. Come E3 2003, one of the biggest attractions of that event was the announcement of Halo 2, showing a demo that looked incredible. You can hijack a ghost!
Everything I need.
Fans were amazed with people going off the roof with this demo. It was amazing, it looked like an experience that we've never seen before. But that also made the developers stressed. Unlike a lot of the other announcements in E3, Halo 2 was one of the only ones that was actually playable instead of a movie or a pre-recorded sequence. The developers made sure to give out the best first impressions. They spent loads of time on this demo, thinking that this is the best choice and they'll just develop the rest of the game later. The problem was the deadline, expecting it to be holiday 2004. The developers had a little more than a year. They realized that they couldn't put all of their ideas in the game until the deadline, and it was either they would release the game broken or just cut half of it and release only a part of the game.
So it was either release the game incomplete or release the game incomplete.
So the developers began cutting and scrapping everything as much as they could, so much that if you look at the demo and the final product, it almost feels like an entirely different game. In fact, they scrapped almost all of the demo. The mission that plays there, yep, that isn't there anymore. Halo 2 got so many of its ideas cut. They stripped a lot of what was supposed to be there. By the time the game released, I felt As if I was -6. But who cares, people still loved it. Halo 2 was critically acclaimed, with many calling it the best Halo game. Even today, it had one of the most disastrous developments in all of gaming. The developers needed to stay extra time, with some even sleeping in the studio. It was harsh, but even then people still freaking love this game.
And I want some too.
So since I met somebody on the street yesterday who told me this game is pretty good, I wanna take a look and see why people really, and I mean really, like Halo 2.
But before we get into that, spoilers! This is a game from 2004, but the story is a big part of it, blah blah blah. Exit the video if you want to avoid that. Let's start!
So Halo 2 starts 28 days after the events of the first game. We see the Covenant talking?
Ugh!
Yeah, so something that this game does is the Covenant having life. Yeah, they talk in this game, they think, they have feelings.
They use the PS3 controllers, f*** them!
This is monumental because in Combat Evolved, the Covenant felt as just the bad guys, and every time Cortana said something about the Covenant finding or being afraid or doing anything, bitch, these are the things that have shower addiction and talk like if Donkey Kong was swimming in honey.
I always remember the wrong things.
I couldn't take them seriously at all, as they were literally just one-dimensional, but now they are more than just some enemies. I can take them somewhat seriously, I guess.
Well, I mean, at least they tried.
So we see the High Charity, a big Covenant flagship that is also the Covenant city.
Oh, so that's why they hate living.
We see an elite that apparently was in charge of the explosion of the Halo ring from the first game and now on trial of order. He argues that the Flood made things a lot trickier and that he couldn't really do anything about it. But who the hell cares? The Covenant's hierarchs, who control all of the Covenant race known as Truth, Mercy, and Regret.
What the hell are those names?
Yeah, they don't give a shit about them. Sorry buddy, but it's better not to drink when a whole planet explodes. Just don't do that. So the elite get tortured by a brute named Tartarus, which is one of the Covenant's highest rank in the military.
Don't care, get the people that I actually care about.
At the same time, Master Chief and Cortana made their way back to Earth. He and Surgeon Avery Johnson received medals for destroying the Halo ring, alongside Miranda Keyes, who also received a medal because her father died in Halo 1. A Covenant ship arrived and attacked Earth. Master Chief defends the Covenant's forces and drives them back. Meanwhile, another ship, this time led by Regret, gets into Earth into the city of New Mombasa. Master Chief also discovers a Covenant bomb on Cairo Orbital Defense, so instead of neutralizing the bomb, Master Chief decides to ignore the fall damage and fly the bomb back to the Covenant ship. After that, Master Chief and Cortana go back alongside Keyes and Johnson to New Mombasa to protect the city from the Covenant. They fail. So while Master Chief does succeed in defeating the Covenant, Regret's ship makes a space jump to get out of the city, which creates this.
God, if I would have been a citizen there, I would be pissed. Or dead.
It's too bad that nobody gives a shit, well, at least for now. So everybody follows Regret's ship, but this is where the game shifts its point of view back to the Covenant. More specifically, the dumbass elite that was found guilty for the destruction of Halo in the first game. Instead of being killed, the elite gets the title of the Arbiter, the highest rank in the Covenant's military that an elite can get. However, the Arbiter is only given when there is a lot of crisis everywhere, and most of the time, the elite that gets that rank also die with it. The Arbiter goes to Threshold, the planet that has a lot of fire. His mission is to track down the group of rebellious Covenants that do not follow the Hierarch since the destruction of the Halo ring. The Arbiter catches the leader of the rebel group, but it's here that the leader tells the Arbiter that the Hierarchs are lying about the Great Journey, a series of important events that are achieved when all of the Halo rings are activated. But then, none other than 343 guilty fucking Sparks come. I have no idea how he survived the explosion from the first game, but whatever, he's here now. In fact, he is the reason why the group of Covenant are rebelling. The leader attacks, but guess what? Somebody doesn't know how to play Halo, so guess who's dead?
Unlike me, this guy doesn't have 100 hours on these games.
So Tartarus appears yet again and takes the Arbiter and 343 Guilty Spark back to High Charity. Going back again to Master Chief, while going after Regret, he finds yet another Halo ring, this one being Installation 5. Because Regret tries to activate the Halo ring to start the Great Journey, Master Chief, Cortana, and a bunch of other soldiers who knows how they'll die go to the ring to find and kill Regret. By the time that happens, Keyes and Johnson go to the library to find the activation index. Thank God we're not doing that again. God, I got bluophobic from being there too much last time. Oh, come on! So Master Chief kills Regret, but High Charity appears again and bombs the place hoping to get rid of him. Master Chief escapes to the sea but gets knocked down by the explosion. As he sinks deeper, a bunch of tentacles grab him and pull him even deeper. Back to High Charity, Regret's death is blamed by the elites. They get rid of their ranks and the brutes brought into their positions.
Woohoo! Can't wait to fight more Donkey Kongs.
The remaining hierarchs learn the process to activate the Halo rings from Guilty Spark. The Arbiter also goes down to acquire the activation index, but while arriving in the library, he finds that Keyes and Johnson got to the activation index a few seconds before him. The Arbiter attacks in an attempt to take the index, but guess who appears again? It's Tartarus!
Yay!
Tartarus takes the index, captures Keyes and Johnson, and reveals that the hierarchs actually ordered him to kill the Arbiter.
What a bitch!
So the Arbiter is also grabbed by a bunch of tentacles. He finds himself with Master Chief and this thing. This is Gravemind. Don't ask. 2401 Pentian Tangent is also here. He's basically this ring's Guilty Spark. They both tell the Arbiter what the Halo rings are actually supposed to do. You know, the whole destroying the entire galaxy thing. So Gravemind teleports Master Chief to High Charity where he scares a grunt. He chases after the hierarchs throughout High Charity, but then Cortana realized that Gravemind actually used both Master Chief and the Arbiter as a means of destruction to spread the flood all over the mobile city. He finds Mercy being attacked by one of the flood, but before dying he tells Master Chief that Truth is going to Earth to destroy all of humanity. Cortana tells Master Chief to chase Truth back to Earth. She also tells that if the Halo ring will be activated, she will detonate the engines of an E-number clad which will destroy the Halo ring, kind of like what happened with the Pillar of Autumn. So Cortana stays in High Charity while Master Chief is going back to Earth. The Gravemind also summoned the Arbiter to the control room where he finds Johnson leading a BS Metal Gear and they both take out a lot of the Covenant's forces. The Arbiter tells Tartarus the real truth about Halo alongside Guilty Spark as well. But he still doesn't really give a shit about any of that, so he forces Keyes to activate the ring. So the Arbiter attacks and after a really dumb final boss, Tartarus is killed. Keyes then removes the index before the ring explodes the whole galaxy, however it shoots a big laser to the sky that sends a signal to the other Halo rings. So now all of the other rings can be activated from a place called the Ark. Truth, with the Chief following, gets back to Earth, but before we see what happens with them, we see a quick scene with the Gravemind and Cortana in High Charity. He has a lot of questions, she says shoot, and
oh boy, I'm so ready for the ending. Who knows what will happen? No!
Well, that was Halo 2's story. Did you catch it?
No.
Okay, let's get this over with. Halo 2 story is so much better than the original. They expanded on everything, especially the Covenant. You can actually see who they really are, their motivations, their religion, their social order. They are much more than just the bad guys. They have feelings. You're supposed to care for them. Kind of. And it's not the only thing Halo 2's story improves upon. The writing, for example, is much better, taking a greater, more excited tone. I actually cared for the characters. They are much more likable and they show more of themselves. Master Chief is an easy pick. He barely talks in the first game, and when he does, I mean it's cool and sometimes a little too edgy, but he was either talking about things that already happened or things he's going to do. He is so much better here. He talks more, he acts more, he thinks more, and there is more of him. he shines like an absolute star. And it's not only him who gets that treatment, every other character is like this. All of them are a lot more dominant and they have a greater part of the story, especially when comparing them to the first game. Cause Halo 1 story took a bigger emphasis on atmosphere. There was barely any talking outside of the cutscenes and when Cortana tells you what to do. And I don't think this approach is bad. Hell, lots of people miss this kind of storytelling. Probably because of a lot of other games, but the way I see it, Halo 2 wins it when it comes to the approach of the story. It's also because of the set pieces, like how Master Chief drops a Covenant bomb to their own ship or going down to New Mombasa. It feels greater and more serious. But even with all of that, I still had no idea what the hell was going on. Or at least I didn't think so. Having to play the original game before this, like every sane person would do, I did understand more about the lore and the characters. But who am I kidding? I still needed to watch 2 videos just to explain it, which to be fair, it is the same thing I did with the last game, but that's the thing. If I wasn't doing that, will I still be able to understand anything? Because the main complaint I had with the last game's story was how poorly explained the lore was, and with this being a continuation of that game, it also doesn't really explain things all too well. But who the hell cares? This is Halo we're talking about. I do not, and I will probably never will care that much about the lore in this game. This is the same thing I said about Halo 1. I do not care about what the Covenants do in their social life, what they eat, how they sleep, the games they play, and how they brush their teeth.
If any of you have questions on my mentality, please stop.
What I do care about is looking at Master Chief dropping down a ship with a big ass bomb while cool Halo music is playing in the background, and I'm so happy that the game story leans into that. With all of that glazing said though, what the fuck was that ending?
And now we get to the worst part of Halo 2. It just feels incomplete.
Where should I even start here? I guess I shouldn't, considering I may end like Halo 2's story. There is nothing more dissatisfying than going through a story with an ending like this. Ending can change a game, either for the better or in this case, for the worse. I mean, what is this? Are we really ripping off Assassin's Creed ending? Except that this game came out 3 years prior, so I don't really know why I used that as an example, but the point is, this is not a good ending. I really hate this, especially when the rest of the story felt so good. Say what you will about the first game's story, but at least it ended with some satisfaction. Seeing Halo shudders and explodes to pieces, it felt like you actually did a damn thing. It's just that Master Chief really had to say,
I think we're just getting started.
Thanks for ruining the moment, asshole.
Here the game ends right when it starts its climax, right when it gets great. It just stops. Instead of a big explosion in Halo 2, Cortana just say,
Shoot.
I can't shoot when there aren't any bullets.
and come on, Master Chief literally says that he's finishing the fight. You can't do this to me. Oh. Yeah, so the reason the story was cut so short has to be with the game's development. Wow, who saw that coming?
Literally everyone.
There were actually supposed to be about 5 more missions to the game where Master Chief teams up with the Arbiter. Most of this scrapped stuff did make it to Halo 3, but we will get to that game later. For now, I have a lot to say about what we got here. Outside of the ending, Halo 2 does everything better than the original. It takes everything that I liked about the original story and enhances that to the roof. It's just a shame that this was the ending that we got, because if this is Halo 1's story, this will be Halo 2's. It literally feels as just a part 1 for a much greater adventure. It sucks because outside of that, the story is phenomenal and I really enjoyed it. The graphics,
It's complicated.
So like Halo Anniversary, Halo 2 Anniversary also gets a whole new look with new textures, models, sound effects, music, all this kind of junk. With the first game, the answer was obvious. You were choosing the old graphics. The new graphics in Anniversary felt so out of place. Everything was bright and over detailed to an extent when the game just didn't feel like itself. It lost its color and looked like every generic shooter from the 360. On the other hand, Halo 2, I don't know what the hell I'm looking at. Let's talk about the original look of the game first. Ew! What the hell happened here? Why in the world does the game look worse than Combat Evolved? Just what happened? Well, Halo 2 isn't ugly per se, it's definitely not the prettiest game I've ever seen, even for its time. Textures can look flat and the models are a little blocky, but all of that does not matter when the game looks even more dark than the original. Looking at this game's original graphics made me appreciate so much more the colorful nature of Combat Evolved. It wasn't a rainbow full of colors, but it was simple and greatly understandable to the player. Colors popped, it was super clear to see where enemies are and where the background was, and once you change for the new graphics, all of that clarity was lost. With Halo 2, the game is already so dark that in some areas enemies are basically camouflaged just from the environment. Some enemies just blend with the environment too well, and with Halo 2's new enemies changing a lot of how you play, it could lead to some situations. So with all of that, how does Halo 2's new look feel? Well, it looks fine, I guess. Upon starting the game, the first thing I did was change the graphics, and I gotta say, it felt weird as hell. It looked better, I think. It's just that most of the problems I have here are the same as the new graphics in the first game. It just doesn't look like Halo 2 to me. Yeah, the game didn't look that great, especially when comparing it to the first game, but even then, it still had some kind of charm to it. It does look brighter, unlike the original game, and it just looks a whole lot more colorful. Because one of the issues people had with the new graphics in the first game was how they have this piss filter all over the place, when in the original Halo 2, I mean, this can't get shittier than that. But even then, it still never felt like Halo 2 to me. It doesn't have the charm of the original. And it's not that I 100% think it's worse, it's a 50-50 situation. I would constantly switch between looks when I played the game for the first time, but the graphics weren't the only reason for that. The new cutscenes, for example, looks freaking great. Instead of the regular pre-rendered cutscenes, Halo 2 added CGI, and goddamn was that a smart move. The cutscenes from Anniversary look so tremendously good that I'll say that half the reason I cared for the story was because of them. Every time that I got to a cutscene, I switched to the new look of Anniversary, and man, these sweet cinematics. My Xbox almost exploded. The real problem that I had with this so-called remaster of Halo 2 was the sound effects. Why are they so loud? In the original, the sound effects, especially for guns, while minimalistic, they were still impactful. Not as much as the first game, but the magic was still there. The guns were quiet, but still felt powerful. With the Anniversary, however, almost all of the sound effects are stupidly loud, so much that it is hard to focus on the actual battles. I get that they were trying to make the guns have a sense of weightness to them, and to be honest, yes, I did feel some of that, but it feels destructive enough that for fights, I just turned back to the regular graphics. Even though I don't really think that's the game's fault, I am the one who constantly switched between the Anniversary and the original. Nobody else who casually plays this game is going to notice that. But for me, where in some point, for some reason, decided to turn into a freaking detective and identify every little change these versions have, it was pretty noticeable. So for cutscenes, you definitely want to have the new graphics on, while fights feel better with the regular look.
Well, that sounds easy enough.
Except that it isn't!
Wait, there is more?
Music is a part of almost every person. Now, if that person is the original Halo 2, well, that can be a weird thing to explain to him.
Who are you?
Halo 2's music is probably pretty good, it's just that I couldn't really hear it. Whenever the music of the levels was playing, I could barely hear it. As much as I tried, most of the time that would distract me and I would just die. And because of that, none of the tracks were really memorable to me. I could hear that it was there, but not too much else. The music wasn't adding or doing anything.
Also because I was too dumb to check if there's any setting I could change, but...
Anniversary, on the other hand, now we're talking. Halo 2 Anniversary's music. You can hear it alright. Okay, jokes aside, I absolutely love how the Anniversary uses its music to its advantage. It doesn't play too often, but when it does, it's powerful and you can really feel it. Because of that, set pieces like going down the mountains with the Warthog or shooting down everything with the tank on top of the bridge feels much more dynamic. So I switched to the older graphics in most of the gameplay while keeping the new look in the cutscenes and sometimes when there was a really cool scene. And you know what, I really like how easily the game lets you do that. Having to switch an entire game's look with the press of a button is ingenious. It doesn't just make the game much more accessible, but also make it easy to appreciate how the old game looks. It's that easy, no need to go to the settings or straight up just not have the original graphics. No, it's right there on the tab key. But graphics and music don't really matter if the gameplay sucks, at least that's what all of those Shenmue haters say.
Can't say they're wrong.
The gameplay was the biggest challenge the developers had to face with. The first game wasn't just a great first-person shooter, it innovated on the genre in a way that no game did before. Halo 2 needed to fix everything that was wrong with the first game and introduce new things while still keeping what makes it special. So did the developers succeed? Well, to answer that question, we will actually need to play the game.
Really?
So Halo 2 keeps the same gameplay loop as Combat Evolved. Almost every mechanic that was in that game made its way here, with some random changes here and there. You still go around while using a variety of weapons to kill the Covenant and the Flood. When your health is too low, you go find a cover and wait until you regenerate. It really is the same, but now with some improvements. For starters, you can only view your shield, so instead of scattering around for medkits, now it's all about it. And if that thing goes down, which it sure will, you don't have a secondary health bar. Instead, you just have way less health. I kind of like this change. Having to search around for medkits never felt that enjoyable to me. I much rather have a consistent health bar that keeps every fight fair. Because I don't know what with you, but I don't really like going to a new fight when you only have one health left. This change keeps everything a lot more consistent. All the weapons from Halo 1 returned, but they have drastically changed and either got fully replaced or just changed so much that they basically feel like a different weapon. The assault rifle, for example, got removed and replaced with the SMG. It's basically the same thing, but it feels and sounds much weaker. The pistol from the original game was one of the best options you had there, but now, well, it shoots faster, but again, it's much weaker. It's so drastic that I barely use it. The rocket launcher actually got better, now with the ability to home in on vehicles. I am really conflicted about these changes. Yes, some of the weapons were kind of overpowered in the first game and you really didn't need to use a lot of the other weapons. But now, the pistol sucks. It got nerfed so much that it's basically useless. The reason for that is probably for you to use a bigger mechanic in the game. Dual wielding, because apparently one of the developers said guns are great, but what if we had two of them?
Oh, so that's why it's called Halo 2.
Dual wielding, I mean the name basically stands for itself. You pick a gun and then pick another one. It's as simple as that.
Oh, so that's what simple stands for.
Not every weapon can be dual wield. Most of the ones that can are the little guns like the plasma pistol, the needler, and the ones that got nerfed. No, you can't have two rocket launchers at once. As much as I would want to, they wouldn't let me for some reason. On their own, those guns can't do too much. They're not useless, except for maybe the pistol, but together, they are amazing. Holding two guns at once isn't just super cool and stylish, it's also incredibly powerful. At times, these can be better than the bigger weapons, which is probably why you can't use grenades or melee while using them. Yeah, dual wielding limits you to only shooting the guns. You can't use grenades, melee, or switch to another weapon, and if you do that, you just throw back your weapon to the ground. For a game that gives you a lot of grenades, the fact that dual wielding does not let you use them made them way less useful, and I found myself using them for a lot less than I first anticipated. And to be honest, it makes a whole lot of sense, because if you could do that, these things would be incredibly overpowered. Look, I get why all of those limitations make sense, but because of that, every time that I dual wield, I stopped after maybe 15 seconds because I wanted to use a grenade or just switch a weapon. Even though I do think that this is how the developers intended us to use these. But in the end, I do think that dual wielding is a great inclusion to the game. They are crazy cool and powerful, it's just that after 15 seconds of using them, I needed to either use a grenade or just swap to a better or safer weapon like the sniper or the shotgun. But even then, they give more than they take and they add a lot to the methodical gameplay of the game. The game really excels in the new weapons it adds. The first and probably the most important new weapon you get is the battle rifle. It shoots 3 consecutive strong shots, it's great for almost everything outside of the little flood and basically has the same use as the pistol from the first game. The carbine is basically just a Covenant version of the battle rifle, except that it only shoots 1 shot at a time. Same goes for the beam rifle, as it is just an alienated sniper, and the fuel rod, which is just an alienated rocket launcher, except that this one shoots more rapidly and is much weaker. The fuel rod was actually in Halo 1, it was just exclusive to the multiplayer. There is the Sentinel beam, which you get from the Sentinels, the Brute Shot, which is kind of like a grenade launcher you get from the Brutes, but the biggest inclusion in Halo 2's weapons is none other than the Energy Sword, a powerful sword that kills almost everything it sees instantly. The Energy Sword, or better known as the Monado, was technically in the first game, but you couldn't use it. It was a weapon that only the Covenant could use.
Yeah, that made me a little betrayed.
I almost always used the Energy Sword when I could. It is that powerful. You can launch yourself right into enemies, and when you do that, you know that they are absolutely doomed. Halo 2's weapons are great, most of them feels nice to control, and like Combat Evolved, they also have this bump to them that we don't see nowadays that much, although it also felt a little nerfed compared to the first game. All of the enemies from the first game come back, but like the weapons, they also got some changes. First and foremost important are the Jackals, who don't just have shields now, but can also snipe you from way too far, which sometimes you can't even see them. Yep, they made probably the most annoying enemy in the first game, outside of maybe the Flood, even more annoying. There are now these Honor Elites, which are just the stronger versions of the Elites. Drones are a new thing, I don't really know what they are, I think they are supposed to be with the Covenant, but they look and sound just like the Flood. And finally we have the Brutes. They are also just elites, but a little stronger and sometimes use different weapons. Master Chief controls basically the same, but he now has the ability to sprint. In the cutscenes, he's still stupidly slow. Halo 2 also gives you the ability to arm the Marines in whatever you want. We all had that time when the Marines in the first game had broken weapons, and what do you do when that happens?
Manslaughter.
So the developers decided to save those innocent lives by letting us switch weapons with them. Finally, I don't have to kill my friends, just kidding.
Our society will always be doomed.
In all seriousness though, this is really cool, having to strategically arm the other soldiers. It might not be much, as no matter what you give them, the soldiers will still die, but for what it is, it's still pretty cool. One of the most innovative things about the first game was the level design. A lot of the levels in the game felt free, they were open, and some were even non-linear. The problem was that for every mission with an open land field, you had another mission that had the exact opposite. Linear hallways and copy and pasted rooms were there non-stop. At times, it made the game boring and repetitive. Missions like the library were a slog to get through, and a lot of the mazes in the levels that had some horror elements really didn't help. So with all of that in mind, what did Halo 2 did to improve on that? Well, Halo 2's level design is kind of underwhelming in a sense. It's better, but takes a lot of the things that made the first game's level design special. You've probably already know this, so let's just get to it.
I think I'm stuck.
Linearity was probably the level designer's best friend. Literally every mission in this game is linear. Not a single mission has you explore a large land field. You're just going in a single path that the developers intended you to go. Look, I get that the developers had an extraordinarily short amount of time, and linearity isn't really a bad thing. In fact, it's great. The levels barely have any copy and paste of rooms, and almost none of them never take too long that you just want to move on. But a lot of what makes the level design special in the first game was the fact that it was non-linear, and removing that kind of makes the whole thing really ordinary. It's not worthless by any means, but what it got right in the first game just isn't there anymore. The vehicles return, and just like the last thing we talked about, almost all of them got changed. Both the Ghost and the Banshee got a boost, but using the boost does make you unable to shoot, so keep that in mind. The Banshee also got the dodge. It doesn't really do too much, but I guess it's nice to have it there. The Warthog really didn't change that much, although I think it controls a little better, but I can't say for sure. The new vehicles are fine, I guess. I barely remember any of them, let alone using them. You can now control the Wraith, which is the Covenant version of the tank. That's cool, I guess, but really is nothing out of the ordinary. The Spectre and the Shadow are basically another equivalent to the Ghost, and that's it! Yeah, there aren't too many new vehicles, which, I mean, whatever. Hijacking vehicles was one of the main highlights in the demo, and yes, you could definitely do that. This is really not as big as it seems, and I really don't understand why many people gushed over it. It's there, it's cool that it's there, but that's really it. It's not as special as everybody made it seem to be. The vehicles in Halo 2 are fine, the old ones are still great and even better with the changes they got, but the new vehicles really didn't make me care. So overall, Halo 2 seemed to do everything it should have done. It expanded on almost everything that went well, while fixing a lot of the other things that didn't work. And yes, I overall think that it was pretty good, and to be honest though, can I please leave for 1 second? Oh, come on! The difficulty in this game. What the f just happened here? I started the game on heroic, or the hard difficulty per se, thinking this will give a balanced experience with a good challenge. It wasn't. I died constantly. I couldn't even get through the first level. I got to this section where there are dozens of Covenant, and every time you come out it takes 3 seconds until you die. Now this was my first playthrough, and I know that you were actually supposed to use the turret, but I didn't know that it was there the first time I played the game. And this was on heroic, the difficulty that is considered fine. In fact, I actually found people who said this difficulty ain't even that hard, so I don't even want to talk about legendary. Actually, fuck it, there is no one stopping me anyway. Let's talk about legendary, shall we?
Shall we also break a controller in the process?
This was deadly. Halo 2 on Legendary. I mean, I did complete like 10% of a mission. If you don't take cover and there are more than 2 enemies next to you, then you are dead 2 seconds later. It is that brutal. The sniper jackals are especially the worst. Some dumbass decided to give them aimbot so that every time that they see you, they erase you from existence. You just come out and bam, you're dead. I got a taste of this whole thing, and I gotta say, it tasted a damn lot like the Switch cartridges. I don't even want to think about playing the whole game on this difficulty, but who knows, maybe one day I'll give it a shot. In any case, after dying way too many times, I gave up and switched to normal. And guess what? I barely died. This is what sucks about Halo 2's difficulty. If you put it on too high, the game becomes a big clusterfuck where you can't see more than 5 seconds before you die. Some weapons just become obsolete and the game forces you to use specific weapons. On the other hand, if you put it on one difficulty lower, the game loses all challenge and sometimes it even becomes a little boring and repetitive. Well, I can't say it lost all challenge. The game was still really fun. The gameplay loop was still great, but it didn't really feel that challenging. This is not an issue that only Halo has. A lot of games that give you different difficulty settings have this problem too, and to be fair, there still isn't really a definitive way to solve it, but even then, I still don't think that the game nailed the right challenge. Like we did with the first game, I wanna take a look at every one of the 15 missions in the game. The first mission, the Hedgehog, is actually just a cutscene, meaning that we start playing in the second mission, the Armory. Well, playing is a little bit of an understatement, as this is just a tutorial and a completely meaningless one at that. It goes over the camera, gives you some basic explanation of how the game works, and just lets you have a feel of Master Chief. I have no idea what they put a tutorial so damn basic here. This is a sequel, for God's sake. Most people playing this game had already played Combat Evolved. I get that they were trying to ease in new players, but even then, the first game didn't have something like that, so why the hell is it here? Anyway, we get this long elevator while we do nothing but listen to Johnson until... cutscene.
Bet you didn't see that coming.
So we really started the third mission, Cairo Station. This is really the first mission you actually get to play the game, and what an opening it is. The mission encourages you to use all of the new mechanics in the game, like dual wielding and such, but it does all of that with the fat layer of oh shitness on top of it. You go around the station trying to hold off the Covenant until you see one of the other stations just gets freaking blown up. So then you run to get over the bomb before it gets blown up in the Cairo station while everybody is crushing.
Stress, am I right?
The next two missions take place in New Mombasa, Outskirts and Metropolis. I'm talking about both of them at the same time because they are a little similar. Outskirts starts after the crash and walks you along the city. Metropolis starts when you go with the tank and shoot every living Covenant across the bridge. You get underground with a cool ghost chase until you come back up and see this giant monstrosity. You climb up, pick a shotgun and jump straight into this giant looking spider thing, kill every little Covenant and blow them out of existence. I love both of these missions, especially Metropolis. Driving across the bridge with the tank or jumping on top of the spider looking thing is so badass. We turn into the Covenant side of things with the Arbiter. Yep, Halo 2 actually has two playable characters.
Oh, so that's why it's called Halo 2.
The Arbiter is basically the same as Master Chief. Everything that he can do, the Arbiter can do the same. The only real difference they have is... press
Unfortunately, I don't know how to count past 3.
The Arbiter gets an active camouflage instead of Master Chief's flashlight, and like Master Chief's flashlight, I always forget about the camouflage, so for me, they are both basically the same. For the next two missions, the Arbiter and the Oracle, we will be playing as him. Can't really say I like these missions. Most of the Arbiter's missions you fight the Flood, which really isn't the craziest enemy in the world. At the start of the Arbiter, you have this long-ass elevator in which you fight the Flood, but because there is barely any of it in the difficulty I played on, most of the elevator you do nothing until more Flood is coming. There is that Banshee fight which was really cool, but outside of that, this wasn't the best mission in the game. The Oracle is a little better, but not much. Then there is Delta Halo, which is absolutely amazing. It lands you right in Installation 5 where you fight the Covenant. The whole place looks like ancient ruins, which I really like. All of the aesthetics in this game are just really pleasing to look at. Then there is Regret, taken in the same place as the last mission, but this time we're advancing to the water.
Oh wow, the color blue?
This mission isn't as good as Delta Halo. You go into these elevators in which you just wait and do nothing. There is a boss fight at the end, yeah! No. I mean, it's not bad. You're apparently supposed to steal Regret's chair and punch him in the face. Yes, this is hilarious, but I can't really call this a boss fight as it really isn't presented as one. It's just a stronger enemy that you need to deal with a little differently. And he also talks a lot. Well, it is a boss fight, but it just doesn't have an interesting lead up to it. When I got to his room, I didn't even realize it was a boss fight. It wasn't really interesting. We play as the Arbiter again in Sacred Icon and Quarantine Zone, where we fight the Flood and the Sentinels. Why do I already feel like I did this before? Yeah, these were definitely my least memorable missions in the game. They are just a bit too similar to the Arbiter and the Oracle. They have their own locations. I am pretty sure that Sacred Icon is in the library and Quarantine Zone is where everything is all snowy, but outside of that, there is not enough to differentiate them from the last two missions with the Arbiter. Gravemind was pretty cool, starting with Master Chief saying,
Boo.
You start with nothing but a needler with lots of enemies in front of you, which playing in the normal difficulty didn't really do that much, but I forbid playing this section on Legendary. The rest of the mission, taking place in High Charity, was pretty cool. You save a lot of the people that got captured by the Covenant. High Charity also looked pretty neat. Really, whoever designed this place made it look like if New York was captured by aliens. Uprising! Now this mission, I have barely anything to say about. We are back playing as the Arbiter, but this time we're killing the brutes, just like we did in the last mission. But that doesn't matter because now we are back in Halo and a lot of the buildings don't look like ancient ruins. It's a lot darker than Delta Halo, which gives it a different atmosphere. The second to last mission is High Charity, and like Uprising, I have barely anything to say here. It's basically Gravemind again, but now there is a lot of flood everywhere and the terrain kinda fucks all over the place. Finally, we get the last mission, the Great Journey. Well, this title is a fucking lie. With how I hate the game's ending, the final level is at least pretty damn cool. You start when you team up as you find Johnson piloting the giant Metal Gear from Metropolis. So you fly a Banshee and kill every brute you see until Johnson just says fuck this and blows up a big hole in the control room. We find Tartarus yet again and it's time for the final battle. Tartarus is fine, he definitely feels more like a boss than just an upgraded enemy. Even though that's exactly what he is, but he still got a better lead up. And after you kill him, Master Chief says Halo 3 everybody, it'll come one day. Cortana says shoot, and because the developers realized they didn't have enough time, we beat the game. Halo 2's campaign is great. How it managed to live up to what Combat Evolved did and even improve on that is crazy. It had almost everything that game had and then some, with more weapons, enemies, levels, and the set pieces were top notch. With that said though, I don't know how much I liked it more than the first game. With how the game expanded on itself, I still think it suffers from some flaws. Whether it's levels that are not as big, the difficulty being outrageous, and the ending not existing. It is definitely more than the same quality as Halo 1, but I don't know how big of a difference it is. It's just that it's too bad that nobody fucking cares.
Well, I guess we're doing that again.
I love Halo 2's campaign, almost as much as I like lying to people. Yeah, the campaign is great, but is that really the reason why people like this game?
Yeah, but we also like shooting each other.
The multiplayer! Oh my god! So one of the reasons that Halo 2 came out in the time that it did is to launch in the same time as Xbox Live, also known as cool shit. Online multiplayer, we all know what that is, and Halo 2 was one of the first to implement it. It was big, gigantic even. I imagine this is where Xbox fans started to have messed up opinions.
Fuck you and your multiplayer.
The multiplayer of Halo 2, like the rest of the game, also expands on the first game. It is so much better, to a point where I barely see any reason to return to Halo 1. It has everything the first game has. The gameplay loop is still the same, it's still just picking a mode, picking a map, start shooting each other, but now being much better. And while yes, I can't say that the time that I talked about the multiplayer of Combat Evolved was the most fair thing in the world. I didn't talk about all the modes, the maps, and barely played the thing outside of a couple hours. Not only that, but I didn't even play the online. I just installed the mode that lets me play the split screen with my friends. But I improved on that from last time. I played much more in a couple more maps. Yeah, I didn't do too much until I started working on this video, outside of playing the hell out of this game. And even then, it was on the same map, in the same mode. The way we played this game is really weird. But I did manage to play online, so we can finally experience what real Halo multiplayer looks like.
Yep, I finally made it to 2004.
So I didn't know this in my Halo video, but you can actually go to the custom game browser where you can find some actual games. Now I would talk about Halo 1's multiplayer if I could, however no one plays this game anymore. Hell, it was even hard to find games from Halo 2 that I could join, as most people seem to play Halo 3 and Halo Reach. But I did manage to capture some footage, so what do I think about the experience of real Halo 2 multiplayer?
Well, to start, more in the experience.
Well, that was definitely not what I expected. Well, I mean, I did expect getting wrecked by 30-year-olds who play this game since they're 7, but outside of that, I don't know, I still don't feel like I got the true online multiplayer experience. Most of the games I played weren't regular, they were these sub-modes the real modes had. I did play a little bit of Slayer, which, I don't know, am I the only one who thinks some people just straight up use cheats in this game? Cause some people are more accurate than the freaking Sniper Jackals on Legendary, there is no way in hell they ain't cheating. Outside of Slayer, I also played Swords, which is a sub-mode to Slayer where you only have the energy sword and a shotgun. And that's basically it. I could barely find any more games I could play in. I don't know what to think about this online multiplayer. I mean, it was fun, but it didn't feel special to me in almost any way. From the time of this recording, I spent a little more than 100 hours on all of the Master Chief Collection. However, there are people out there who spent thousands of hours on Halo 2 alone, and I gotta say, it feels like these are the only people who actively play this game now. So for me to enter the ring and try to do something, yeah, that's not gonna happen. I had never won a single online match in this game, but I mean, can you really blame me?
I am desperately trying to avoid skill issue criticism right now.
And because of all that, I didn't really get to enjoy the online multiplayer that much. But the co-op was still fire. Getting to play with my brother and some of my friends has something magical in it. I mean, you can actually talk with those you kill, it's amazing. We almost always just chose the same thing over and over again. It's crazy how easy it is to just have fun in the same map and the same game mode again and again, even though that's the 300th time we played this map. We did record our voices, and to stay authentic, like every recording in 2004, we had the worst freaking audio quality. Oh, double kill. Oh, that's not a flamethrower, that's the brute, that's the grenade launcher.
Really? What does it do?
It launches fucking pizzas at your face.
We exclusively played Slayer. We tried Capture the Flag, but
How do you grab the flag? Wait. Which team am I? I don't know.
it didn't really end well. The maps in this game, well, we played like 3 of them, but I did try to see and explore all of the other 25 maps by myself, and some are good, I think. Again, I didn't really play anything outside of walking around them, so I can't really know if they're good or not. We did play a lot of Tombstone, which is a remake of Hangem High from Halo 1, which was our most played map in that game, but our favorite map just has to be Lockout. This is such a good map. I love its intricate layers and how vertical it is.
I'm literally making up all of that.
Yeah, I have no idea why I like this map so much. I just know that we play it a lot and it's really fun. And you know what? That's all I really need to know. I feel like if I'll try to analyze every single map in the game and say why this map is better than the others, it'll most likely just ruin most of the fun I have with the game. Because at that point, I'm not looking at what's fun to me, I'm grading a test.
Thank God it's summer.
For some reason, they also made the energy sword incredibly overpowered. It doesn't have any ammo, meaning that you can use it indefinitely, and the range of that thing is insane. Whoever gets that thing becomes a literal horror villain. Until everybody learns how to deal with it, but even then it can still scare some people.
I have something to tell you very badly. You just died.
What the f?
We didn't only play regular Slayer though, we also played Snipers, which is just Slayers with snipers. It was actually really fun. No, just need to play good. There you are. No! But the biggest sub-mode we played was SWAT. SWAT is if in Slayer you had no shields and headshots will just be an insta-kill. In other words, it's a tactical shooter, and while I can't say these are my favorite types of games, this was really funny. The rocket launcher. Woo! This just turns the game into a total massacre. No one knows what the hell is happening, and when somebody does understand what happens, it's already too late. It can really mess up everybody when you know that a headshot can just kill you, yet it is so satisfying when you get a clean streak of kills. It will always be hilarious when somebody gets freaked out because I killed them in 2 seconds.
Who the hell? Yes! Who the hell? Who the hell?
And not like in Slayer where the one who gets the energy sword just turns into the Doom Slayer, here everybody is the Doom Slayer. There is so much goddamn pressure here, and sometimes that pressure can lead to some weird situations.
Guys, someone's in green space. Wait, guy can sniper me. Wait, go forward a little bit. Guys, right from here. Go. Go forward. Go forward. Go! We got snipers in all your positions. Go forward. Go forward. Go forward.
We also played Team SWAT, where the genius developers made sure you have friendly fire. Team SWAT was actually quite different from regular SWAT. I found myself actually working together with my teammate, even though he kind of got mad at me when I killed him. Twice.
No, bitch, I'm gonna kill you now. I'm done. I'm done. We're not winning this one, bitch. I'm killing you. You're my enemy. I have a radar on you, little bitch.
It puts even more pressure, as now you also need to trust another guy, and if he sucks or betrays you every second he can like me, then you have to make even less mistakes, and you get an overwhelming joy when you win a close match. Yes!
I saw a headshot!
Yeah! Yo! When it comes to the co-op of Halo 2, this is something I see myself playing till the end of time. It is special, and while yes, this isn't my most honest review, I mean I barely played any of the maps or the modes, I can still hardly recommend it from the amount of fun I had. It's a game where I give a shot to a new map or a new mode and then play hours upon hours of that until I give a shot to something new. And playing it with my brothers and friends is even better. Also because I always win. Yes, kill him, kill him, kill him, kill him. No, no, behind you, no!
Wait,
Yes!
Yep. Always.
Halo 2 gets a 9.5 out of 10. I don't think I need to recommend this game to you, but you know what? F it, play this game, here you go. Its campaign, while not perfect, was still great. Outside of the ending and writing, the story in general was amazing. The difficulty can be messed up and some levels can be forgettable and just not that big compared to the first game, and even though it might be incomplete, I am still happy with what we got. But of course, it's obviously the multiplayer that steals the show. This is one of the best multiplayer experiences I've ever had, especially with the co-op. Overall, Halo 2 did exactly what it set out to do. It expanded Halo Combat Evolved, like any sequel should do. But with Halo 2, it also kept on revolutionizing the genre and even gaming in general.
Well, it seems as I've done it again. Walls 2 were definitely a success. Once again, I revolutionized everything, so now everybody sees how good of a businessman I am. And like every good businessman, engagement is key. So what am I gonna do now? I'm going to stay back from this for at least 1 or 2 years. That's right, I'm going back to play some Doom.